The fluorescent light flickered above Amara's head as she pressed the dirty cloth against her side, feeling the warm blood seep through her fingers. 3 days. It had been 3 days since the loan sharks came looking for the money her father owed them. 3 days since they put a bullet in her and left her for dead in the very garage where her father used to teach her everything about cars. She was 24 years old and dying in an abandoned mechanic shop in the worst part of the city. Amara bit down on her lip to keep from screaming as she poured rubbing alcohol directly into the wound. The bullet had gone through, which was the only reason she was still breathing. She had stitched herself up using a needle and thread from the emergency kit, her hands shaking so badly she had to try 3 times. The garage was freezing. November wind howled through the broken windows. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. The $10 in her pocket wouldn't even buy her enough food to last until tomorrow. Every luxury car that passed by outside might as well have been from another planet. Her father used to say she had magic hands. She could hear what was wrong with an engine just by listening to it. She could fix anything on wheels. But magic hands couldn't pay off $60,000 in debt. Magic hands couldn't bring her father back from the dead. The sound of an engine cut through her thoughts. Amara froze. It was past midnight. Nobody came to this part of town after dark unless they were looking for trouble or running from it. She reached for the wrench beside her, the only weapon she had. The engine sound grew louder, then suddenly cut off right outside the garage. A car door opened. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, confident. A shadow filled the doorway. The man was tall, maybe 6'3", wearing an expensive black suit that probably cost more than her entire life. His dark hair was perfectly styled despite the late hour. His face was sharp and handsome in a dangerous way, like a knife blade catching the light. But it was his eyes that made her grip the wrench tighter. They were cold, empty, the eyes of someone who had seen death so many times it no longer impressed him. "You're a mechanic," he said. It wasn't a question. Amara tried to stand, but her vision swam. She grabbed the workbench to steady herself. "Garage is closed. My car broke down." He stepped inside without invitation. "I need it fixed in 1 hour. There are 24-hour shops on the east side. Try one of those." The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I don't think you understand. I'm not asking." He pulled out a stack of cash from his jacket. Even from across the room, Amara could see they were $100 bills. He counted out 100 bills and placed them on the workbench. $10,000. More money than she had seen in her entire life. 1 hour, he repeated. "Fix my car, and this is yours." Amara looked at the money, then at the blood staining her shirt, then back at the money. She didn't have a choice. She never really had choices anymore. "What's wrong with it? If I knew that, I wouldn't need you." She followed him outside, each step sending pain shooting through her side. The car was beautiful. A custom Bugatti, matte black, with modifications she had never seen before. It must have cost millions. "Keys," she said. He handed them over, watching her with those dead eyes. Amara popped the hood and immediately knew something was very wrong. The engine was still warm, but it shouldn't have died. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. She ran her hands over the components, listening, feeling. Then she smelled it. Bitter almonds. Her blood went cold. She had read about this. A chemical compound that could be added to engine coolant. It would evaporate slowly, getting sucked into the ventilation system. The driver would breathe it in gradually, never knowing they were being poisoned until it was too late. Someone had tried to kill this man. She looked back at him. He was leaning against the garage wall, checking his phone like he didn't have a care in the world. Either he didn't know someone wanted him dead, or he knew and didn't care. Amara made a decision. She could tell him, but then he would ask questions. Questions led to complications. Complications got people killed. She had learned that lesson 3 days ago. She got to work. First, she drained the contaminated coolant, disposed of it carefully, and flushed the entire system twice. Then she checked the air filters, replaced them, and scrubbed down every surface the chemical might have touched. She worked fast, her hands moving on autopilot despite the pain in her side. 45 minutes later, the engine purred like a kitten. The man walked over, impressed despite himself. "You're good." "I know." Amara slammed the hood shut. Her vision blurred. She had lost too much blood. Done too much physical work. Her body was shutting down. "The money," she started to say, but her legs gave out. She hit the concrete hard. The world tilted sideways. Through the haze of pain and exhaustion, she saw the man stand over her. He looked down at her bleeding side with those cold, empty eyes. Interesting, he said quietly. Then he stepped over her body, got into his car, and drove away. The taillights disappeared into the night, leaving Amara alone in a pool of her own blood on the frozen garage floor. The $10,000 sat on the workbench inside, but she couldn't move. Couldn't breathe properly. Couldn't do anything but stare at the stars through the broken garage roof and wonder if this was how it ended. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. Good work always comes back to you, baby girl. Always. She wanted to believe him. But as the darkness crept in from the edges of her vision, all she could think was that she had just saved a monster's life, and he had left her to die without a second thought. The last thing she heard before unconsciousness took her was the distant sound of sirens. Then nothing. Amara woke up to the smell of clean sheets and antiseptic. The beeping of machines. Soft light filtering through expensive curtains. For a confused moment, she thought she was dead and this was heaven. Then the pain hit, and she knew heaven wouldn't hurt this much. Easy. A nurse appeared beside her bed, gently pushing her back down. You've been out for 16 hours. You lost a lot of blood. How did I get here? Amara's throat felt like sandpaper. Ambulance brought you in. Someone called 911 from your location. The nurse adjusted her for. You're lucky. Another hour and you wouldn't have made it. Lucky. Amara almost laughed. She looked around the room and her stomach dropped. This wasn't a normal hospital room. This was a private suite. Flat-screen TV. Leather couch. A view of the city that probably cost $1,000 a night. I can't afford this, she said immediately. You need to move me to a regular room. Or just discharge me. I'll heal at home. Already taken care of. Your bill is paid in full, including a week of recovery care. By who? The nurse smiled mysteriously. Your guardian angel, apparently. After the nurse left, Amara tried to process what was happening. The man from last night. It had to be. But why? He had left her bleeding on the floor. Why save her now? A doctor came in an hour later, checked her vitals, and cleared her for discharge the next day. You're incredibly fortunate, he said. The bullet missed everything important by centimeters. When they finally let her leave the next morning, a hospital volunteer wheeled her outside. Amara expected to see the familiar broken streets of her neighborhood. Instead, she saw chaos. News vans. Camera crews. Reporters everywhere. And surrounding her rundown garage were 50 of the most beautiful cars she had ever seen. Lamborghinis. Ferraris. Rolls-Royces. McLarens. Bentleys. All in a perfect line, gleaming in the morning sun like an automotive dream. A small white card was taped to her garage door. Amara's hands shook as she opened it. You fixed more than my car. Now I fix your life. D. Miss Okafor. A reporter shoved a microphone in her face. How does it feel to receive 50 luxury vehicles worth over $20 million? Who is your mysterious benefactor? $20 million. Amara couldn't breathe. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. More reporters swarmed. Questions came from every direction. Cameras flashed. The volunteer tried to push the wheelchair through the crowd, but there were too many people. I don't know, Amara kept saying. I don't know anything. Security eventually cleared the crowd enough for her to get inside her garage. The moment the door closed, she collapsed against it, her heart racing. The $10,000 from last night was still on her workbench. And now there were 50 cars outside worth 400 times that amount. Who was he? What did he want? Amara didn't have time to figure it out. That night, as she tried to sleep in the small room behind her garage, she heard the door open. She sat up immediately, grabbing the wrench she kept under her pillow. 3 men entered. They moved with professional precision, dressed in all black. One of them had a gun with a silencer. The loan sharks had found her. Thought you could hide from us? The one with the gun smiled. Then you go on TV with $20 million in cars outside. That's our money, girl. Your daddy's debt plus interest. Amara backed against the wall. There was nowhere to run. The man raised his gun. The shot never came. Instead, the garage door exploded inward. Bodies moved so fast Amara barely saw them. Her 3 attackers were on the ground in seconds, unconscious or dead, she couldn't tell which. A woman stepped through the smoke. Tall, athletic, with short black hair and cold professional eyes. She was followed by 4 men built like tanks, all armed with weapons that looked military-grade. Amara Okafor, the woman said calmly, as if she hadn't just led a tactical assault. My name is Raven. You need to come with us. Who are you? Your new security team. Raven holstered her gun. As of last night, you belong to Dante Moretti. You're under his protection, whether you want it or not. I don't know anyone named Dante. Raven smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Yes, you do. You fixed his car. You saved his life. And now he owns yours. The mansion looked like something from a movie. 20-foot gates. Armed guards everywhere. Security cameras on every corner. Amara sat in the back of the black SUV, watching through tinted windows as they drove up a winding driveway lined with perfectly trimmed hedges. Raven hadn't said a word during the 30-minute drive. The 4 guards sat silent as statues. Amara's side throbbed with pain, but fear kept her alert. She had been kidnapped before she could even process that someone had tried to kill her. Again, the SUV stopped in front of massive double doors. Raven got out first. This way. Inside, the mansion was all marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Priceless art hung on walls. Everything screamed money and power. Amara felt blood from her reopened wound seeping through her bandages. She was bleeding on floors that probably cost more than her entire life. They walked through hallways that seemed endless until Raven stopped at a set of carved wooden doors. She knocked once. Enter. Raven pushed the doors open. The office inside was enormous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. A massive desk sat in the center. And behind it was the man from the garage. He looked different in daylight. Younger than she thought, maybe 32 or 33. His suit probably cost $10,000. A whiskey glass sat on his desk beside a gun. Just sitting there. Casual. Like it was normal to keep loaded weapons on your desk. Sit, he said without looking up from the papers he was reading. Amara stayed standing. Who are you? Now he looked at her. Those cold, empty eyes studied her face. Dante Moretti. You fixed my car 2 nights ago. And left me to die. I called the ambulance. He took a sip of whiskey. Before I even started my engine. You were never in danger of dying. You could have helped me yourself. I don't help people. I use them. Dante stood up and walked around his desk. He was even taller than she remembered. Do you know what you did when you fixed my car? My job. You saved my life. He pulled out a tablet and showed her a video. Security footage from inside his car. Thermal imaging showed the contaminated coolant, the chemical compound, everything. Someone poisoned my cooling system with a delayed toxin. It evaporates slowly, gets sucked into the ventilation. I would have been dead in 3 days. You found it. Cleaned it. Never said a word. Amara's throat went dry. I didn't know what it was. Liar. Dante smiled. It was worse than Raven's smile. You knew exactly what it was. You saved my life and asked for nothing. That makes you either very stupid or very dangerous. I just wanted the money. And now you have $20 million in cars. Dante circled her slowly, like a predator studying prey. Do you know what happened after that news story aired? 5 different Mafia families now think you're important to me. They think you're my weakness. And they will come for you. Again and again. Until you're dead. The room spun. Amara grabbed the back of a chair to steady herself. I don't want any of this. Take the cars back. I'll disappear. Too late. You can't disappear from people like Viktor Kozlov or the Chun family or the Bratva. Dante stopped in front of her. You have 2 choices. Work for me as my personal mechanic. Live under my protection. Or leave this mansion and be dead within 48 hours. Your choice. That's not a choice. Life rarely is. Amara wanted to scream. To run. To fight. But she was bleeding, exhausted, and trapped. What do you want from me? Your skills. Your loyalty. Your silence. Dante returned to his desk. You'll live here. You'll maintain my fleet of vehicles. You'll accompany me when needed. In return, you get protection, money, and your life. Simple transaction. I'm not your property. Actually, as of now, you are. Dante pressed a button on his desk. Raven will show you to your quarters. Dinner is at 7. Don't be late. Raven appeared in the doorway. Amara wanted to argue more, but the look in Dante's eyes told her the conversation was over. She followed Raven out, her mind racing. The bedroom they gave her was bigger than her entire garage. King-size bed. Private bathroom. A closet full of clothes in her exact size. It was a gilded cage. How did you know my size? Amara asked. We know everything about you. Raven leaned against the doorframe. Amara Chin Okafor. 24. Father was Marcus Okafor, died 6 months ago. Mother was Lin Chun, died when you were 8. No siblings. No close friends. 60,000 in debt to the Sanchez loan sharks. Expert mechanic. Genius level IQ. And apparently very bad at staying alive. You had me investigated. The moment you touched Dante's car. Raven's expression softened slightly. Listen, I know this seems like hell. But out there? That's real hell. In here, you're safe. Try to remember that. After Raven left, Amara collapsed on the bed. Everything hurt. Her side. Her head. Her heart. 3 days ago, she was poor and hiding. Now she was trapped in a mansion with a mafia boss who owned her life. Dinner was exactly as terrible as she expected. A long table. Dante at the head. Raven and 4 other men she didn't know. Everyone ate in silence. Amara pushed food around her plate, too nauseous to eat. Halfway through the meal, one of the men, a younger guy with nervous eyes, stood up. Boss, I need to use the restroom. Dante nodded. The man walked past Amara's chair. As he did, he stumbled slightly. His hand brushed her water glass. Something small and white dissolved instantly in the liquid. Amara's blood froze. She looked up. The man was already walking away. Nobody else had noticed. Or maybe they had and didn't care. She stared at her water glass. Her heart pounded. Dante was watching her. Those cold eyes missed nothing. He glanced at her glass. Back at her face. Then at the man returning from the bathroom. Marco, Dante said quietly. The man froze. Yes, boss? Come here. Marco's face went white. He walked slowly back to the table. Dante stood up, picked up Amara's water glass, and held it out. Drink. Boss, I don't understand. Drink. The water. Now. Marco's hands shook. Please. It was Victor. He has my sister. He said he'd kill her if I didn't. Dante shot him. The sound exploded through the dining room. Marco's body hit the floor. Blood pooled on the white marble. Amara screamed and jumped back from the table. The other men didn't even flinch. They kept eating like nothing had happened. Dante calmly placed the gun back on the table. Let this be a lesson. He looked directly at Amara. Trust no one. Not the food. Not the water. Not the people who smile at you. In my world, everyone is either an asset or a threat. There is no in between. You killed him, Amara whispered. She couldn't stop shaking. I killed a traitor who tried to poison you. Dante sat back down. If you're going to survive here, you need to understand something. I am not a good man. I am not a hero. I am the monster that keeps worse monsters away from you. Remember that. Guards came and dragged Marco's body away. Someone mopped up the blood. Within 5 minutes, it was like nothing had happened. Amara ran from the dining room and threw up in the nearest bathroom. This was her life now. Golden cages and casual murder. Protection that came with a body count. She had traded one prison for another. But this one had marble floors and a devil who owned her soul. 3 weeks passed in the mansion. 3 weeks of maintaining luxury cars she would never own. 3 weeks of armed guards following her everywhere. 3 weeks of watching Dante run an empire built on fear and blood. Amara learned quickly. She learned which guards were loyal and which ones watched her too closely. She learned that Dante held meetings every Tuesday where people came begging for mercy they rarely received. She learned that the mansion had 17 cameras in the garage alone. She also learned that Dante never slept more than 4 hours a night. She could hear him sometimes, pacing in his office above her bedroom. The sound of ice clinking in a glass. The weight of a man drowning in demons he wouldn't share. They barely spoke. He would leave lists of cars that needed maintenance. She would complete the work. Money appeared in a bank account she hadn't opened. Everything was transactional. Cold. Professional. Until the night everything changed. You're coming with me tonight, Dante said one evening. He stood in the garage doorway wearing tactical gear instead of his usual suit. We have a deal to close. I'm a mechanic, not muscle. The deal involves modified vehicles. I need an expert to verify they're legitimate. Dante's tone left no room for argument. Get ready. We leave in 10 minutes. The warehouse was on the east side of the city, in an industrial area where nobody asked questions. 6 black SUVs pulled up outside. Dante's crew moved with military precision. Raven was there, along with 20 armed men. Inside the warehouse, another group waited. Russians from their accents. Their leader was a massive man with a scar running down his face. Viktor Kozlov. Amara recognized him from the files she had seen around the mansion. Dante. Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. You brought a woman to a weapons deal. How progressive. She's here to inspect the vehicles. Show us what we're buying. Victor gestured to a row of armored trucks. Modified suspension. Bulletproof glass. Hidden compartments. Everything you asked for. Dante nodded at Amara. She walked forward, her heart pounding. Something felt wrong. The air was too tense. Victor's men had their hands too close to their weapons. She examined the first truck, popping the hood. The modifications were good. Professional. But as she checked the second vehicle, she found it. A small explosive device wired to the ignition. Nearly invisible unless you knew what to look for. Amara's blood went cold. This was a trap. She glanced at Dante. He was watching Victor, not her. She couldn't just announce what she found. Victor's men would start shooting immediately. Think. Amara pretended to check something under the dashboard. Her fingers found the detonator wire. If she could just disconnect it quietly, maybe they could get out before Victor realized his plan had failed. But her hand slipped. The tool clattered against metal. Victor's eyes snapped to her. Then to the bomb. His face changed. Kill them, Victor screamed. Gunfire erupted instantly. Amara dropped behind the truck as bullets tore through the air above her head. Dante's men returned fire. The warehouse became a war zone in seconds. Stay down, Raven shouted, dragging Amara behind a concrete pillar. But Amara saw something Raven didn't. Victor had circled around. He had a clear shot at Dante's back. Dante was focused on enemies in front of him. He didn't see the threat. Amara didn't think. She just moved. She ran from behind the pillar, straight toward Dante. Behind you. Dante turned. Victor fired. The bullet meant for Dante's head hit Amara's shoulder instead. The impact spun her around. She hit the ground hard, pain exploding through her entire body. Everything happened in slow motion after that. Dante's face changed. The cold emptiness in his eyes became something else. Something terrifying. Pure rage. He moved like a demon. Every shot he fired found a target. He killed Victor's men with brutal efficiency, moving closer and closer to Victor himself. Raven and the others could barely keep up. Victor tried to run. Dante caught him at the warehouse door. Amara's vision was blurring, but she saw Dante grab Victor by the throat and lift him off the ground. You tried to kill her. Dante's voice was barely human. Wrong move. He slammed Victor's head against the concrete wall. Once. Twice. 3 times. Victor stopped moving. Dante dropped the body and turned back to where Amara lay bleeding. Get her to the car. Dante's voice cracked. Now. Raven scooped Amara up. The world tilted sideways. She could hear Dante screaming at his men, heard more gunshots, heard the building start to burn. Someone had set fire to the evidence. The ride back was a blur of pain and darkness. Amara kept fading in and out. Every time she opened her eyes, Dante was there in the back of the SUV with her, his hands pressed against her shoulder trying to stop the bleeding. His face was covered in blood spatter. His eyes were wild. Stay awake, he kept saying. Don't you dare die. That's an order. You don't give me orders, Amara mumbled. Everything felt distant and cold. I give you every order. You work for me. You live for me. You don't get to die. His voice shook. Do you hear me? You don't get to die. The mansion's private medical team was waiting when they arrived. They rushed Amara into a surgical suite that apparently existed in the basement. Dante tried to follow, but the doctors pushed him out. For 3 days, Amara drifted in and out of consciousness. Sometimes she heard voices. Raven giving orders. Doctors discussing her vitals. And always Dante's voice. Any change? Not yet, sir. I want updates every hour. Sir, you should rest. I'll rest when she wakes up. On the 4th day, Amara finally opened her eyes. The room was dark except for a small lamp in the corner. Dante sat in a chair beside her bed, his head tilted back, eyes closed. He was still wearing the same blood-stained clothes from the warehouse. His hand rested on the edge of her bed, inches from hers. He looked human for the first time since she met him. Vulnerable. Exhausted. The monster was gone and only a man remained. Amara tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. She moved her hand slightly. Her fingers brushed his. Dante's eyes snapped open. For a moment, he just stared at her. Then something broke in his expression. You're awake. His voice was rough. You look terrible, Amara whispered. Dante laughed. It was short and broken but real. You took a bullet for me. You were going to die. I've been dying for years. Dante's hand closed around hers. Why did you save me? Amara didn't have an answer. Or maybe she did and wasn't ready to admit it. Instinct. Instinct. Dante stared at their joined hands. Nobody has protected me since I was 12 years old. Nobody. And you barely know me. I know enough. No, you don't. Dante stood up slowly, releasing her hand. But maybe it's time you did. He told her everything. About his wife Maria and his daughter Sophia. About coming home 8 years ago to find them murdered. About building his empire on revenge. About becoming the monster that haunted his nightmares. By the time he finished, dawn light was creeping through the windows. I'm sorry, Amara said quietly. Don't be sorry for me. I made my choices. Dante moved toward the door, then stopped. The bullet was supposed to be poisoned. Victor's signature move. But it wasn't. Someone in his crew switched it out. Someone saved your life. Who? I don't know yet. But I will find out. Dante looked back at her. Rest. You're safe here. After he left, Amara lay in the dark wondering when everything had changed. When the monster had become a man. When the cage had started feeling like protection. And why someone in Victor's organization had saved her life. 2 months passed. 2 months of Amara healing. 2 months of something changing between her and Dante. They talk now. Real conversations. He showed her pictures of Sophia, his daughter. A little girl with dark curls and her father's eyes. Amara told him about her own father, about learning to fix cars in his garage, about the night the loan sharks came. They understood each other's pain. It created a bond neither of them wanted but couldn't deny. You're different lately, Raven said one afternoon. She leaned against the garage doorframe, watching Amara work on a Ferrari, smiling more, laughing at his terrible jokes. He doesn't make jokes. Exactly. Which makes it funnier when you laugh anyway. Raven's expression was unreadable. Be careful, Amara. Caring about Dante Moretti is dangerous. People he loves tend to die. I don't love him. Not yet. But you will. Raven walked away before Amara could respond. That night, Dante asked her to have dinner with him. Not in the formal dining room with guards and weapons. In his private quarters. Just the two of them. Is this a date? Amara asked when she arrived. Do you want it to be? Dante poured wine into 2 glasses. He was wearing jeans and a sweater instead of a suit. He looked younger. Almost normal. I don't know what I want anymore. That makes 2 of us. Dante handed her a glass. I stopped knowing what I wanted the day Maria and Sophia died. Everything after that was just survival. Revenge. Emptiness. And now I'm confused as hell. Dante sat down across from her. You shouldn't matter to me. You're an asset. A mechanic. Someone I protect because it serves my interests. But somewhere along the way, you became more than that. Amara's heart pounded. Dante, I'm not asking you to feel the same way. I'm just being honest. He looked directly at her. You make me want to be better. You make me remember what it felt like to be human. And that terrifies me. Before Amara could respond, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it and her blood turned to ice. It was a photo of her. From today. In the garage. Someone had been watching her. The message below it read, come to the address below. Alone. Or everyone in that mansion dies. You have 1 hour. What's wrong? Dante saw her expression. Nothing. I just remembered I left something in the garage. Amara stood up quickly. I'll be right back. She didn't go to the garage. She went to her room, grabbed a jacket, and tried to figure out how to leave without the guards seeing. But Raven was waiting in the hallway. Going somewhere? I need air. At night? In a fortified mansion. Raven crossed her arms. Try again. Amara showed her the text. They said they'll kill everyone if I don't go alone. Raven's expression darkened. She grabbed Amara's arm and pulled her into an empty room. Listen carefully. This is a trap. Obviously. But you're going to walk into it anyway because that's who you are. Stupid and self-sacrificing. I have to protect him. You can't protect him if you're dead. Raven pulled out a small device and pressed it into Amara's hand. Tracker. Keep it hidden. I'll follow at a distance. If things go wrong, I'll extract you. Why are you helping me? Because Dante actually smiles when you're around. Haven't seen that in 8 years. Raven opened a service exit Amara didn't know existed. Go. Fast. Before he realizes you're gone. The address led to an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. Amara's hands shook as she walked inside. The building was dark except for a single light in the center of the main floor. And standing under that light was Raven. Amara froze. What are you doing here? Waiting for you. Raven's voice was different. Cold. Sorry about this, Amara. Nothing personal. Men emerged from the shadows. 6 of them. They grabbed Amara before she could run. She fought, but they were too strong. They zip-tied her hands and threw her into a van. The last thing she saw was Raven watching with dead eyes. The van drove for hours. When they finally stopped, Amara was dragged into a concrete building that smelled like blood and chemicals. Victor Kozlov was waiting. Except Victor was supposed to be dead. Dante had killed him. Surprised, Victor smiled. His head was bandaged, but he was very much alive. Your boyfriend didn't finish the job. Rookie mistake. Where am I? My personal interrogation facility. Victor circled her like a shark. See, I know Dante has been rebuilding his network. I know about the weapon shipments. The new alliances. But I don't know specifics. You're going to tell me everything. I don't know anything. Let's find out. Victor nodded to his men. What happened next was hell. They beat her. Waterboarded her. Asked the same questions over and over. Where were Dante's safe houses? Who were his allies? What were his plans? Amara told them nothing. Even when her body screamed for mercy. Even when she thought she might actually die this time. She protected Dante because somewhere in the last 2 months, he had stopped being her captor and become something else entirely. Between sessions, they locked her in a cell. That's when Victor came alone. You really love him, don't you? Victor laughed. That's rich. Do you know who betrayed you? Who sold you out? Raven works for you. I figured that out. Raven is more than an employee. Victor leaned close to the bars. She's Dante's sister. The world stopped. What? Dante didn't tell you? His baby sister. She blames him for their family's destruction. For their parents' death. She's been working with me for 3 years, feeding me information, waiting for the perfect moment to destroy him. Victor's smile was cruel. And you were that moment. The only thing Dante has cared about in 8 years. Killing you breaks him completely. You're lying. Am I? Ask yourself why she was always so protective of you. Why she knew everything about you before you even arrived. She was studying you, Amara. Learning your weaknesses. Making sure you fell for Dante so your death would hurt him more. Amara wanted to call him a liar, but pieces clicked into place. Raven's strange comments. Her knowledge. The way she looked at Dante sometimes with pure hatred. There's more. Victor pulled out a photo. Recognize her? It was a woman. Beautiful. Dark hair. Standing next to Victor with a teenage girl beside her. That's Maria. Dante's supposedly dead wife. Victor watched Amara's face. She faked her death. She's been with me for 7 years. And that girl? That's Sophia. Dante's daughter. Not dead. Just being raised by me. Amara couldn't breathe. Everything Dante had told her was a lie. His whole reason for existing was based on false information. Why are you telling me this? Because you're going to die here. And I want you to know that everything Dante built, everything he became, was for nothing. His wife betrayed him. His sister betrayed him. And now you'll die knowing you fell in love with a man who destroys everything he touches. Victor left her alone in the dark. Amara curled up on the cold floor, bleeding and broken. She had to get out. Had to warn Dante. But the chains were solid and the guards never left. She was going to die here. And Dante would never know the truth. Dante knew something was wrong the moment he returned to the dining room and found it empty. Amara's wine glass sat untouched. Her chair pushed back like she had left in a hurry. Where is she? He asked the guard at the door. Said she was going to the garage, sir. But she wasn't in the garage. Wasn't in her room. Wasn't anywhere. Dante felt panic rising in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. He called Raven. No answer. Called again. Nothing. Find her, he told his men. Now. It took 3 hours to discover the truth. Security footage showed Amara leaving through a service exit. The same exit only Raven knew about. Dante's blood went cold. Get me everything on Raven. Everything. Bank accounts, communications, locations. I want it in 10 minutes. His tech team worked fast. What they found destroyed him. Money transfers from Victor's accounts. Encrypted messages. Meeting logs going back 3 years. His own sister had been betraying him all along. And she had taken Amara. Dante destroyed his office. Flipped his desk. Shattered the windows with a chair. The rage was so complete he couldn't see straight. But underneath the rage was something worse. Terror. Amara was with Victor. Victor, who specialized in torture. Who enjoyed breaking people slowly. Sir. His lead tech held up a tablet. We found a tracker signal. Still active. Coordinates show an abandoned factory compound 50 miles north. Get every man we have. Every weapon. We move in 20 minutes. Dante loaded his guns with shaking hands. And if she's dead when we get there, I burn the whole place down with everyone inside. The convoy of vehicles raced through the night. Dante sat in the lead SUV, his mind spinning through worst-case scenarios. He had lost Maria and Sofia. He couldn't lose Amara too. Wouldn't survive it. They hit the compound at dawn. 50 armed men against whatever Victor had inside. Dante didn't care about the odds. He moved through the building like death itself, killing anyone who got in his way. The screams of Victor's men echoed through concrete hallways. Dante felt nothing. No remorse. No hesitation. Just the driving need to find her. He found the cell in the basement. The door was reinforced steel. Dante shot the lock off and kicked it open. Amara was curled on the floor, covered in blood and bruises. Her face was so swollen he barely recognized her. Burns marked her arms. Her breathing was shallow and wet, like broken ribs. Dante fell to his knees beside her. Amara, can you hear me? Her eyes fluttered open. Barely focused. Dante, I've got you. You're safe now. He tried to lift her gently, but she screamed in pain. Broken bones. Internal injuries. Victor had tortured her for hours. The rage that filled Dante in that moment was biblical. He had thought he knew anger. He had been wrong. Get the medic, he shouted. Now! As his team worked to stabilize Amara, Dante heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see Raven standing in the doorway. She had a gun pointed at him. Hello, brother. Dante stared at his sister. The little girl he had protected their whole childhood. The only family he had left. Why? You really don't know? Raven's voice shook with emotion. You destroyed our family, Dante. Papa told you to stay away from the Kozlov business. But you didn't listen. You thought you were smarter. Stronger. And because of your pride, the Kozlovs killed our parents. Killed them while I watched. I tried to protect everyone. You failed. And then you built this empire on revenge while I had nothing. No family. No home. Just the memory of Mama begging for her life. Tears streamed down Raven's face. Victor found me. Gave me purpose. A way to make you feel the pain I felt. By hurting innocent people? She's not innocent. She made you care again. She made you weak. Raven's gun hand steadied. Goodbye, Dante. The shot rang out. But Raven jerked sideways at the last second. The bullet hit the wall. She looked down at the knife buried in her side, thrown by Amara from the floor. He's not weak, Amara whispered. Caring isn't weakness. Hating your family is. Raven collapsed. Dante's men secured her while medics rushed to help. But Raven pushed them away, blood pooling beneath her. Wait. Raven's voice was fading. She looked at Dante. There's something you need to know. About Maria. Maria's dead. No. She's alive. With Victor. Raven coughed blood. But it's not what you think. She didn't betray you willingly. Victor has Sofia. Your daughter is alive. He's been using Sofia to control Maria for years. Dante's world shattered. Sofia is alive? I saw the photos. A girl, 19 years old. But something's wrong with the timeline. With the age. Raven grabbed Dante's hand. I'm sorry. I was so angry I couldn't see clearly. Forgive me. Raven, stay with me. Tell her I'm sorry too. Tell Amara she was right. Raven's eyes closed. You were never weak, brother. I was just too broken to see it. She died there in the hallway. Dante's last family member. Gone because of hate and revenge and the endless cycle of violence. Dante carried Amara out of the compound himself. The building exploded behind them as his men destroyed all evidence. The morning sun felt like mockery. How could the world be bright when everything was darkness? In the SUV racing back to the mansion, Amara reached for his hand. Her fingers were broken, but she held on anyway. Your daughter might be alive, she whispered. The timeline doesn't make sense. Sofia would be 8, not 19. Then it's a trick. Victor is playing you. Amara coughed and blood flecked her lips. We'll figure it out together. You need to rest. After. First we save your family. She squeezed his hand. Real family. Not the one that betrays you. The one you choose. Dante looked at this woman who had been tortured for days and refused to break. Who threw a knife to save him even while dying. Who somehow still believed in him. I love you, he said. The words felt strange on his tongue. Foreign. Terrifying. I know. Amara smiled through split lips. I love you too, which is really inconvenient considering you're a crime lord and I'm just a mechanic. You're not just anything. Dante kissed her forehead gently. You're everything. The mansion's medical team stabilized Amara. 3 broken ribs, fractured arm, severe lacerations, internal bruising. But she would live. Dante stayed by her side through every procedure, every scream of pain, every moment. And while she slept, he planned. Victor had taken everything from him twice. Had his sister killed. Had Amara tortured. Claimed to have his daughter. It ended now. One way or another, this war was over. But as Dante studied the photos Raven had left behind, he realized Amara was right. The girl in the pictures couldn't be Sophia. The age was wrong. The features slightly off. Victor was playing a deeper game. And Dante was going to burn his whole world down to find the truth. Amara healed faster than anyone expected. Within 2 weeks, she was walking. Within 3, she was back in the garage, unable to sit still while Dante planned their next move. The physical scars would fade. The emotional ones never would. You should be resting, Dante said, finding her under a car at midnight. I should be helping you end this. Amara slid out from under the chassis, grease smudged on her face. Have you figured out the truth about the girl? My tech team analyzed the photos. She's not Sophia. Wrong bone structure. Wrong DNA markers from what we can estimate. She's Victor's niece, Elena. He's been grooming her to look like what Sophia might have become. To psychologically destroy you. It almost worked. Dante sat on the workbench, exhaustion evident in every line of his body. I pulled medical records. Sophia died in the original attack. Quick. Painless. She never suffered. Maria did die later, killed by Victor when she tried to escape him. Everything was a lie designed to break me. Amara stood and wrapped her arms around him. I'm sorry. I spent 8 years becoming a monster for ghosts. Dante's voice cracked. 8 years of blood and violence for nothing. Not for nothing. You built something. Protected people. Including me. Amara pulled back to look at him. But now it's time to stop. Victor wins if you let this destroy you. We end this, then we walk away. Together. Walk away from everything? From the violence. The revenge. The empire built on pain. Amara's eyes were fierce. We start over. Build something new. Something good. But first we finish this. Dante kissed her. Soft and desperate, and full of everything he couldn't say. When they broke apart, something had shifted in his expression. Determination instead of despair. I have a plan, but you're not going to like it. Tell me anyway. The plan was insane. Dante would fake his death publicly. A car explosion. Dental records planted. Witnesses paid off. The whole world would believe Dante Moretti was gone. Meanwhile, Amara would approach Victor. Claim that Dante's last words revealed his entire network. Bank accounts. Safe houses. Allies. Everything. She would offer to trade the information for her freedom and money. He'll never believe I'd betray you, Amara said. He will if he thinks I left you with nothing. If he thinks you're angry and desperate and alone. Dante showed her the fake documents they had created. Bank statements showing Amara with zero access to funds. A forged will leaving everything to Raven's estate. You'll tell him I used you and discarded you. That you want revenge as much as money. And when I get inside, you sabotage everything. His vehicles. His weapons. His security systems. You're the best mechanic I've ever seen. Make it look like maintenance while you're destroying his entire operation from the inside. What if he discovers the plan? Then I come in with every resource I have and burn his world to ash. Dante's eyes were hard. But I don't think he will. Victor's arrogance is his weakness. He'll think he's won. That he broke us. He won't see you coming. The explosion happened 3 days later. Dante's car erupted in a fireball on the highway. News crews swarmed. The footage was everywhere. Body burned beyond recognition. Dental records confirmed. Dante Moretti was dead. Amara played her part perfectly. She showed up at the police station crying, demanding access to accounts she couldn't touch, screaming that Dante had left her with nothing. The performance was captured by 6 different cameras. Exactly as planned. Victor's people approached her within 48 hours. A meeting was arranged. Neutral territory. A restaurant downtown. Amara wore a wire so thin it was invisible. Dante's team listened from 3 blocks away. Victor looked pleased with himself. I heard about Dante. My condolences. Don't pretend you're sorry. I know you wanted him dead. Amara kept her voice bitter. I want to make a deal. What kind of deal? Before he died, Dante told me everything. Account numbers, passwords, names of everyone he worked with. He was paranoid. Wanted me to have it in case something happened. Amara slid a USB drive across the table. Sample. Prove I'm telling the truth. Victor plugged it into his laptop. His eyes widened as real information appeared. Bank transfers. Communications. All legitimate data Dante had authorized her to share. Enough to prove she had access, but not enough to matter. What do you want for the rest? $5 million. And you leave me alone forever. No revenge. No coming after me. I disappear and you never see me again. Deal. Victor smiled. But you work for me for 1 month first. I need a mechanic I can trust. Someone who knows Dante's modifications and can undo them. 1 month, then you get your money and freedom. Amara pretended to think about it. Fine. 1 month. She moved into Victor's compound the next day. It was smaller than Dante's mansion, but more fortified. Guards everywhere. Cameras in every room except the garage. Victor was paranoid but arrogant. He never suspected she was sabotaging everything she touched. A microscopic crack in brake lines that would fail under stress. Weakened steel in bulletproof plating. GPS trackers planted in every vehicle linked directly to Dante's team. Security system overrides hidden in the code. For 3 weeks, Amara worked 18-hour days. Victor watched her sometimes, but saw only a bitter woman doing her job. He had no idea she was dismantling his empire piece by piece. On the final night, Victor called her to his office. I have a job for you. A very important convoy. I need you to inspect every vehicle personally. We're moving major weapons shipment tomorrow. Where to? That's not your concern. Just make sure the vehicles are perfect. Amara went to the garage and examined the convoy. 10 armored trucks. She sabotaged all of them. Disabled their armor. Planted explosives in the engine blocks on remote detonators. Made sure every vehicle would fail at exactly the right moment. Then she sent a single text message to a burner phone. Tomorrow. Dawn. Be ready. Victor discovered her plan at 3 a.m. Someone had checked her work and found the sabotage. Alarms blared through the compound. Amara ran, but guards cornered her in the garage. You think you're clever? Victor grabbed her by the throat. You think I didn't know? I've been watching you. Waiting to see how far you'd go. Where is he? Where is Dante? Dead. Like you think. Liar. Victor threw her against a car. He's alive. This was all a setup. But it doesn't matter. You're going to die. Then I'm going to find him and kill him too. Gunfire erupted outside. Explosions. Screaming. Dante's army had arrived. The compound became a war zone. Dante's men stormed through every entrance simultaneously. Victor's forces tried to fight back, but their weapons malfunctioned. Their vehicles wouldn't start. Everything Amara had sabotaged failed at once. Dante himself came through the front door like an avenging angel. He killed anyone who stood between him and Victor. No mercy. No hesitation. This ended tonight. Amara broke free from Victor and ran toward Dante. They met in the center of chaos. He grabbed her face and kissed her hard. You okay? Perfect timing as always. Together they cornered Victor in his office. He had a gun, but his hands shook. For the first time, fear showed in his eyes. You can't kill me. I have copies of everything. Evidence. If I die, it all goes public. I know. Dante lowered his gun. That's why I'm not killing you. Instead, Dante pulled out a phone and made a call. Within minutes, federal agents swarmed the compound. Interpol. FBI. International task forces. I gave them everything, Dante said. Every crime you committed. Every person you killed. Every dollar you laundered. You're going to prison, Victor. For the rest of your life. No power. No empire. Just a cell and your memories. Victor screamed as they dragged him away. Dante watched with cold satisfaction. Death would have been mercy. This was justice. The sun rose over the burning compound. Federal agents swarmed everywhere, collecting evidence, arresting Victor's remaining crew. Dante stood with Amara in the parking lot, watching his old life turn to ash. It's over, Amara said quietly. Not yet. Dante turned to face her. There's something I need to do. 3 days later, Dante walked into the district attorney's office and confessed everything. Every crime. Every murder. Every illegal operation he had run for 8 years. His lawyer begged him not to. His remaining crew thought he had lost his mind. But Amara understood. She held his hand as he signed the confession. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "Yes, I do. I spent 8 years becoming a monster. I can't build something new on that foundation." Dante looked at her with clear eyes. "You fixed my car that night, but you fixed my soul too. Let me finally do something right." The DA offered a deal. 5 years in federal prison in exchange for testimony against every major crime organization in the city. Immunity for his crew. Full protection for Amara. Complete dismantling of his empire with assets distributed to victims' families. Dante took the deal without hesitation. The day he turned himself in, Amara wanted to scream. To beg him not to go. To run away together, somewhere they could never be found. But she knew this was necessary. Dante needed to pay for his sins to truly be free of them. 5 years, Dante said as they stood outside the prison. "Wait for me. That's not a question, is it?" "No. It's a promise. I'm coming back to you." Dante kissed her one last time. "Build something good while I'm gone. Something worth coming home to." "I will." Amara watched him walk through those prison doors and felt her heart break into a million pieces. But underneath the pain was something else. Hope. For the first time in years, genuine hope. She sold the 50 luxury cars Victor had given her. All of them. The money went into a business account. Amara found a property on the east side of the city. An abandoned factory that reminded her of her father's old garage. She bought it and started renovations. 6 months later, Second Chance's Auto and Restoration opened its doors. The business model was simple. Hire people coming out of prison. People escaping gang life. People who needed a second chance just like she had. Teach them mechanics. Pay them fair wages. Give them hope. The first employee was Marcus, a former gang member with a bullet scar on his neck and nowhere else to go. The second was Elena, Victor's niece who wanted nothing to do with her uncle's legacy. The third was one of Dante's former guards who had turned himself in and served his time. Within a year, Amara had 20 employees. Within 2 years, 50. The business thrived. People loved the story. The woman who fell in love with a crime lord and convinced him to change. The mechanic who built an empire on redemption instead of blood. News crews came. Magazine interviews. Documentary offers. Amara turned most of them down. She didn't want fame. She wanted to help people. Every person who walked through her doors got the same speech her father had given her years ago. "You're not defined by your worst day. You're defined by what you build after." Every week, Amara visited Dante in prison. They talked through bulletproof glass, phones pressed to their ears. He told her about the prison reform program he was building. How he was using his experience to help inmates prepare for life outside. How he taught financial literacy classes and job skills workshops. "You're doing good work," Amara said during one visit. "So are you. I see the news. Second Chances is changing lives." "Our lives too." Amara smiled. "When you get out, we're partners. Equal shares. No crime lord. No mechanic. Just 2 people building something that matters." I like the sound of that. The years passed slowly but steadily. Year 1 was the hardest. Amara cried herself to sleep most nights, aching for Dante's presence. Year 2 was easier. She found rhythm in work and purpose in helping others. Year 3 brought expansion. A second location. More employees. More lives changed. Year 4, Dante was moved to a minimum security facility for good behavior. Amara could finally hug him during visits instead of talking through glass. Those moments sustained her through the final stretch. Year 5 arrived faster than expected and slower than hoped. The day of Dante's release, Amara stood outside the prison at dawn. She wore a simple blue dress. Her hair was longer now, streaked with premature gray from stress and hard work. But her eyes were bright. Alive. Full of the future instead of the past. The prison doors opened. Dante walked out in civilian clothes, carrying a small bag of belongings. He looked different. Older. Lines around his eyes. But something fundamental had changed. The coldness was gone. The emptiness replaced with peace. He saw her and stopped. Just stared like he couldn't believe she was real. Amara ran to him. Threw herself into his arms. He caught her and held on like she might disappear. They stood there in the parking lot, 2 broken people who had somehow fixed each other, crying and laughing at the same time. "You waited," Dante whispered. "Of course I waited. I love you, idiot. I love you too. More than I thought possible." Amara pulled back and gestured to the car behind her. A restored vintage Bugatti. Matte black. The same model as the one she had fixed the night they met. Thought you might want to drive. Dante laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was rusty from disuse but genuine. You rebuilt it. Took me 3 years. Every piece restored by hand. No bulletproof modifications. No hidden weapons. Just a beautiful car for a beautiful new life. Amara handed him the keys. Take us home. They drove through the city as sunrise painted the sky gold and pink. Past the compound where Victor's empire once stood, now torn down and replaced with affordable housing. Past the warehouse where Amara first got shot, now a community center. Past the mansion where Dante once ruled through fear, now a rehabilitation facility for trauma victims. Everything had changed. Everything was better. They pulled up to Second Chance's Auto and Restoration. The sign gleamed in the morning light. Through the windows, Amara could see her employees arriving for work. People who had been given second chances. People who were building new lives. This is incredible, Dante said, staring at what she had built. This is ours. Amara took his hand. I had the papers drawn up. 50-50 partnership. Dante Moretti and Amara Okafor. Equal owners. If you want it. If I want it. This is everything I never knew I needed. They went inside together. Amara introduced Dante to the team. Showed him the expansion plans. The prison partnership program she had started. The scholarship fund for children of incarcerated parents. Everything she had built while waiting for him. That night, they stood on the roof of the garage, looking out over the city. Dante pulled Amara close. I was dead before I met you. A ghost pretending to be alive. You brought me back. You saved me first. That night when you could have left me bleeding. You called the ambulance. Everything else came from that one choice. We saved each other. Dante kissed her forehead. What happens now? Now we live. We work. We help people. We build something that matters. Amara looked up at him. No more violence. No more revenge. Just love and second chances. Sounds perfect. 6 months later, they stood in that same spot. But this time, Dante was on one knee holding a simple ring he had made himself in the prison workshop. Amara Okafor. You fix my car. You fix my life. You fix my soul. Will you fix my future too? Marry me. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Their wedding was small. Just the employees from Second Chances and a few friends. No luxury. No excess. Just love and hope, and the promise of tomorrow. 5 years after that, they stood in the garage teaching their daughter Sophia how to change a tire. Named after the child Dante lost. A new beginning. A new legacy. Why is our shop called Second Chances? 6-year-old Sophia asked. Amara and Dante exchanged glances. He nodded. She smiled. Because everybody deserves one, Amara said. Your papa and I both needed second chances. And we spent our lives giving them to others. That's what love does. It transforms. It redeems. It saves. Sophia considered this seriously. So love is like fixing a car? Dante laughed and picked up his daughter. Exactly like that. You find what's broken. You work hard. You don't give up. And eventually, everything runs beautifully again. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Dante and Amara sat in their small apartment above the garage. Not a mansion. Not luxury. Just home. Do you ever miss it? Amara asked. The power. The empire. The old life. Not even for a second. Dante pulled her close. I spent years building an empire of fear. Now we have something better. An empire of hope. And it all started because you fixed my car. Best $10,000 I never actually spent. They laughed together. Two people who had walked through hell and found heaven on the other side. Two souls who proved that redemption was possible. That love could conquer violence. That second chances could change the world. Outside, the sign for Second Chances Auto and Restoration glowed in the darkness. Inside, tomorrow's employees would arrive seeking hope. And Dante and Amara would be there. Together. Always. Because she fixed his car. He fixed his life. And together, they fixed the world. One broken soul at a time. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel for more heartfelt and emotional stories like this one. Don't forget to like this video and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Your support truly means the world and helps me create even more amazing content for you. Make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. See you in the next video.